All right, test, test, test. How's the volume here? We need to go up, we need to come down. How's the sound? You hear sound? No? Sounds good to you? Well, that's good. It means at least the volume's coming through. The audio's coming through. How's everyone doing? Doing good? Hanging in there? No audio or it's really low? Interesting. Let me amplify this a little bit. How's that? Or that? Or that? How's that? Does that sound better? If I turn it up a little bit? How's that? Can you hear me a little bit better if I turn that up? Sounds good to you? Well, if it's good for you, then it's good for me. All right. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and talk about this crazy market. Clear off my desk real quick. So, first and foremost, let's take a look at this parabolic curve. I like to always start off the stream by looking at the parabolic curve, and then you know, talking about the market within the context of where we are on this parabolic curve, right? So if we're looking at a parabolic curve, here's the upper, here's the lower boundary of it, and the whole market was like, you know, pretty well contained within it here. So you see these thick black lines of the parabolic curve. Okay. And since the bottom of the parabolic growth, around 220 bucks, so bottom, let's move this right here, bottom 225 bucks. We have the top of the parabolic curve, which is, let's just say 20K, $20,000. We can draw really clean fib lines here. If we start at 220 and we move up to the top of the curve, which is around 20K, and we start to see some really significant levels of support that are going to become more relevant fairly shortly here. So a couple of things to note here. Let's go ahead and zoom in on these 1-day candles. These are 1-day candles, by the way, in case you didn't figure that out. So we see here, you know, here's the top. Came in for a retest. It broke down. We've tested 50%. 1, 2. You can maybe call that a test, but not really. But ultimately, it's been consolidating within this pattern. You can call it a symmetrical triangle, or if you're extremely bearish, you can call this a bear pennant. I'm inclined to lean toward a bear pennant for reasons I can explain if you're interested. If not, we can just call this a symmetrical triangle here, which is a consolidation pattern. And before we start to look at lower time frames, I want to look at the 1-day and actually the 1 week, because I find those to be pretty interesting at the moment. Sorry, let me silence my phone here. So for those of you guys who like to use Ichimoku Cloud, I'm just using the default settings here, and I'll make that invisible. A couple of things to note about the Ichimoku Cloud trend at the moment. So I have, oh, perfect. This is exactly what I was waiting to happen. Okay, so Here's the 200 EMA right here, 200. Here's the 50 EMA, the 50. And this is what I was waiting to happen, was this. Okay, so if you're using the default settings, I know Josh Olszewicz likes to use his doubled settings, which are fairly different, but they just give you different indicators depending on what you're looking for. But if you're using the default settings, something very interesting is happening here, right? So for about 2 weeks now, we've been through the cloud. Okay, it's not the worst thing that's ever happened to Bitcoin. If we zoom out, it's happened a couple of times. Here. It's not crazy. It's not bullish, but it's not like the end of days. But something that's very interesting right now is that today is the first day that the lagging span, or the Chiku span, if you want to use the proper term here, the Chiku span. That's the name of this little line right here. You see it is it's all it is it's a shadow of the previous market move. So if you go here, and I think you go back, what is it, 12 days or something, whatever it is, and you just move this backward, this is called the Chiku span. And there's a couple of different things you can find from the Chiku span. I'm not going to go into details, mostly because I'm not very good at Ichimoku Cloud, but one thing that I like to use Ichimoku Cloud for are these macro moves. And so if you're familiar with some of the market calls I've been making about some of the accumulation coins, weeks ago, we were talking about how the cloud was going down, right? And then the lagging span was actually moving up. And we were saying, oh, this is bullish. This is the beginning of a bull market for several altcoins. Well, the other side of the coin is that now the lagging span's through the cloud. The price is through the cloud. The Tenken's through the cloud, which is this blue guy right here. And starting tomorrow, the Kijun, this guy, this is called the Kijun. And this guy, this blue guy, is called the Tenken. These will all be through the cloud for the first time in a very long time. Okay, let's go back and try to find the last time this happened. Throughout this bull market, it's never happened. Okay, where all three of the indicators, well, I take that back. Okay, there was a period right here where the lagging span was through the cloud, the Tenken was through the cloud, and the Kijun was through the cloud. But not quite in this fashion where the price preceded the move. This is an indication of a macro market move. This is an indication of a potential sustained move. And if we look up toward the higher time scale of 1 week, look at 1 week candles, we are no longer finding support on the Kijun. So again, here's the Tenken, which is this blue bro. Tenken. And here's the Kijun, which is this red bro. Kijun. And this has historically provided very strong support throughout the life of this bull run. So we see here, it has rarely broken below it, and if it has, it's snapped right back above it. Well, that's not what we're doing now. So we broke below it, snapped above it, and now we're trending back below the Kijun. So below this, on a very macro scale, on the weekly scale, there's not a whole lot of support below this for a very long time. Next line of support is going to be the 50 EMA here, which is, what is this, 7K-ish? Below that, likely will be the 200 EMA. It depends, this area is going to be the next logical line of support, but this is, well, by the time price actually trends down here, it'll probably be around here. So we can call this little area, in here, support. We can just call this 4K, the 4K area. And that's if this candle closes below this and continues to trend downward. It's totally possible that this could just shoot right back up You know, this isn't like a definite like, oh, this is going to come down here. But this is saying if this closes and the trend continues, this is where the next line of support will be. And below this guy, this will be the next line of support. Okay. So keep that in mind, this 4K value, this 4K, you know, zone right in here. So if we go to something like the 240-minute candles, I'll get rid of the Ichimoku stuff. We start to see what looks like a bear pennant, and we're testing it right now. So this could potentially get very interesting on the stream. So here's the bear pennant right here. Here's the actual pennant. Actually, let me hide this stuff, and I'll draw it fresh for you guys. So here's the pennant right here. We see 1, 2, 3. Now we're making our fourth test. And here's the top of the pennant, like that. You know, something along those lines. And here would be the pole of the pennant. And this looks pretty fucking bearish because the volume's consolidating. And now as we're testing this lower boundary, volume's starting to pick up. And wouldn't you know it, the pole of this bear pennant is, let's do the math real quick. So let's say this is 17K. 17K. This is, say, 9K. So 17 minus 9, it's going to be 8. So it's an 8K move downward if it breaks to the bottom. Okay, well, what's the current price right now? Let's say 11K. So then this would have a measured move of 11K minus 8K. And, well, that's 3K. I would be very surprised to see it go that low, but that's a typical price projection for a bear flag. Conservative price projection for this bear pennant would be just measuring this this triangle here. So if we just completely forget about the pole and we just look at it like a triangle, because you know bear pennants consist of a triangle and a pole. If we just look at this like a pole, yeah, I'm sorry, we look at this just like a triangle where this is the triangle, you know, something like that. This would be, again, 9K. This would be, let's just say 14K. We're still looking at a move that's going down 6K. So if this breaks here and this heads down, well, that would be 11K minus 6K, which equals 5K. And so the conservative estimate is going to be 5K. The aggressive estimate is 3K. Well, what's in between? 4K, which is where the 1 week cloud support is. So there's a confluence of a lot of things going on that look very bearish for Bitcoin right now, right? And as we speak, I'll go ahead and pull up my trend line here. As we speak, we are testing this pennant right now, right here. And it's about to get very interesting very fast. Do you guys have any questions about anything I just covered right there? You have to think no one knew Bitcoin was going to go in this run. I think charts are useless with Bitcoin. Bitcoin does with what it wants. Well, okay. I mean, if that's what you think, then why are you here? I mean, if that's what you want to think, go for it. But I think you're wrong. Dude, you're watching the wrong video. Yeah, I agree. Like, that's all I'm going to talk about. So, I mean, if you're looking for me to just, like, suck your dick like Parabolic Trav is willing to do, then you came to the wrong place. But I'm going to tell you what my honest opinion is. $14K to $9K is a 5K drop, not a 6K drop. Oh, did I mess that up? Let me see. Oh, you're right. Okay, sorry. What is it? 14K to 9K is a 5K drop. Okay. Okay, so this would be, let me redo this math real quick. Sorry. You're absolutely right. Okay, so this is 5K, whatever. 5K, and this would be 6K then. Okay. Either one. I mean, when should we know if the test is going to hold or if it's going to break through? Well, typically volume's a good, you know, a dead giveaway. As we look, let's look at this, the hour candle. So on these lower time frames, something that's like a pretty dead giveaway that this thing wants to break south is that we see volume climaxes on the boundary. So here, 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 and here. So we see obviously here, 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 and now we're seeing a relative climax here. If this breaks south, which also happens to line up with a couple of fib lines here, for all you Fibonacci nerds, if this breaks south, you know, we're going to see accelerated selling, and most likely we'll see a retest of this thing. It doesn't have to retest this thing, but it's pretty common, unless it's just very aggressive selling and it just pops right through. But we're seeing the test right now. Like, we'll probably see the result of this thing by the end of the stream, you know. When are you going to buy a new chair or WD-40? Dude, right now I'm shorting Bitcoin and I'm shorting office chairs, so I'm not going to buy any office chairs till they find a bottom. Any chance ETH ratio continues to move up if this happens as a hedge? Yeah, I think it's totally possible that the ETH ratio could move up. That's not to say Ether USD is going to move up, but I think the Ether ratio is looking very bullish, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it move up. That wouldn't, you know, I'll go into that analysis a little bit later, but I'm pretty bullish on the Ether Bitcoin ratio. If we are holding, where should we set a stop loss? There's no blanket answer for that, my man. You know, there's no flat answer for that question. I could recommend that you join my trading group where you'd learn how to properly manage your risk and you know, trade accordingly. But it's on a relative basis, you know, like a stop loss for me is not going to be the same stop loss for someone else, because maybe we got in at different positions. Maybe we have different position sizes. Maybe it's a different portion of my portfolio I'm allocating to this position. You know, there's no blanket answer to say this is where you set a stop loss. You know what I mean? It's different for everyone. Thanks, man. Love your work. Well, thank you. I'm holding Tether right now. Tether might not be a bad hold. What exchange do you short on? Man, I gotta be honest with you. So I had really high hopes. I don't know why. I really have no idea why. But I had high hopes in Kraken's new engine being like pseudo usable, and my God, it is still a piece of shit. I shorted Kraken. I shorted Ether during this move right here, which is nice because you get the 5x leverage. But dude, their engine is such a piece of shit that when I went to close, it made me do half Ether market closes. Like, so say for example, like I had a position size, I was like 50 Ether or whatever. So if I had 50 Ether short, it made me, I couldn't close the 50 Ether short. It made me close 0.5 at a time. So I sat there and clicked this shit, you know, 100 fucking times to close it incrementally, and it just totally screwed up my exit. It was so bad. Should Bitcoin drop to the next fib at 61%? How do you judge how much it bounces? That's really hard to predict. I wouldn't even attempt to start predicting that. You know, you got to look at it step by step, because first we got to go to this. We still got to go through this 50% Fibonacci retracement. So I don't think that this thing, you know, say for example this breaks down. I don't think that this just goes, you know, it doesn't just clean break the 50. It's gonna hit here. It's most likely gonna bounce. Gonna come here. Gonna retest. You know, it's not just gonna go straight to hell. It could. It totally could. You know, for example, here. For example, here, it totally plowed through a fib line and then it came up and retested it. I mean, so this totally could just go straight down to there, but I don't think it's likely. But you never know. So I'm also noticing some fractals here too, which I think is very interesting that I'll bring up to you guys here. I've noticed some fractals. So if we think of this thing as like its own little, let's make you orange. Let's make you orange. So think of this little box and think of this little box. Okay. So let's do that. Let's number it like this, and we'll be real cute. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll do it here. 1, 2, 3, 4. For some reason, when you use a Wacom tablet, making the number 4 is difficult. Okay, so what else do we see? We see a symmetrical triangle. Boom. Oops. Something like that. Well, we also see a symmetrical triangle. Right? What else? There were a couple other things that I noticed here too. We see this little double top here. There's like a little double top there. Between 2 and 3, there's a double bottom here. Between 2 and 3, there's a double bottom here. Between 3 and 4, there's a little inverted head and shoulders thing. Between 3 and 4, there's a little inverted head and shoulders thing here too. A lot of similarities going on here, which I think is interesting. And honestly, I don't really know what to make of that in the grand scheme of things, but it's something that has, you know, has my attention. Because as this breaks down, or as it starts to test new lows, you know, okay, so right here, we're seeing a little bit of a bounce off of this pennant line here with a pretty clean test of it. Let's see where it goes. Let's keep an eye on this and let's talk about some other coins. We'll put Bitcoin on the back burner here, and let's work through some coins you guys want to talk about. Seems like we're holding so far low volume. Yeah, I mean, don't look at it on these. Like, if you're looking for like a grand scheme of things, don't look at it on the 5-minute you know, volume indicator. It's not gonna tell you a whole lot. What just happened? Oh, you got moderated by Nightbot. I don't know what that said. All right, you guys want to look at Ether, obviously. Yeah, of course. Let's look at Ether. First, let's look at the ratio, so we can combine the two markets. So zooming out, if you watched my stream, I think it was last week, I talked about this bull pennant here. And now it looks like it's breaking up out of the bull pennant. So here's the pennant. Let's get a nice color on here. Here's the pennant. Boom. Boom. See the squeeze on the B bands. It's breaking out. The volume's kind of weak on this breakout though. Still going down overall. There must be just general uncertainty with Bitcoin's market moves right now. So that could have something to do with it, you know. But overall, you know, it looks bullish. And if we look at the higher time frames, like the 1 day, we see some similarities between this move and the previous moves. So so this looks just like this, right? We see an accumulation trading range here. We see this like bull pennant thing here that breaks out and then it retraces, and it kind of looks like that's what it's doing here. So a bull pennant that breaks out and it's kind of curving back, but overall this bull pennant reaches its full price target before the end of the day, and maybe that's what we'll see here too. But for the time being, I'm 100% in fiat because I'm shorting. And I'm trying to get as much fiat as I can, so that when this thing ultimately bottoms out, I can just open a fat long, you know what I mean? Know what I'm saying, dog? What do you think about Bitcoin private? What is Bitcoin private? Is that another fork? Another hard fork of Bitcoin? Jesus. What problem does Bitcoin private solve? So here's Siacoin for all the Siacoin bros out there. Let's look at some B bands on this thing. Oh my. Okay. This is what I was looking for. Okay, so no, get over here. All right, so here's Siacoin USD. I see that TradingView put back on the composite volume. That's nice. So Siacoin. Oh, interesting. Okay, let's look at the 1 day. So Siacoin looks like a big ass bull pennant, doesn't it? Like here, maybe? Something like that. So this is interesting. Let's look at the Ichimoku. What does that say? So we're about to ram right into that 1 day cloud. We see a cross here between the Tenkan and the Kijun, which is, this is a weak, I think it's considered a, if I'm remembering my patterns correctly, this is a weak TK cross because it's above the cloud, price is above the cloud, everything's still there. We do see a Kumo twist here. But on the lower time frames, it oh, I don't want you. Get out of here. On the lower time frames, it kind of looks like a little bit of a trading range here. Like maybe reaccumulation, because if we look here, oh, if we look here, it's kind of like fallen into this trading range here, like that. With this being a selling climax, this being the automatic reaction high. This is secondary test, secondary test. This looks like it was trying to jump a creek, but now it's doing a retest. If we continue this trend line up, it's showing a little bit of support. What does the BTC pair look like? SC BTC on bitches. This looks more like a bull pennant on the BTC pair, doesn't it? With a pretty consolidated B band squeeze here. Dude, this looks just like this guy right here. Oops. Let's move you up. This looks very similar to this bro right here. So we see this, if we see the squeeze here, right? This market activity looks like this, sort of. We see, let's make a couple points. Like a little pennant sort of dealio. This is very interesting. So we see consolidated volume, consolidated B bands on the 12-hour, a little bit of a pennant thing going on. This might break out soon. Might break down, but I think it's gonna break upward. We don't see any we don't see any of these guys selling in here with the volume. These just look like people getting shaken out. I wonder if we're gonna see another round of selling for Siacoin. Interesting. Do you use Tether when you sit in fiat? No, I use USD when I sit in fiat. What else did you guys want to look at? EOS. You guys want to look at EOS? EOS. All right, so here's EOS. EOS BTC. Looking pretty damn bullish, if I do say so myself. This is the one-day chart, by the way. So, okay, so this is looking, come on, bro. It's not gonna let me draw in here, okay. So we see the lagging span trending up, that's good. No cross for the Tenkan and Kijun. No Kumo twist or anything like that. Price is trending upward. On the 1 day, how do the B bands look? They probably look consolidated. That would be my guess right here. Yes. How did I know? Okay, so we see a little bit of a squeeze here. It still needs some consolidation left, but volume's consolidating, price is consolidating, B bands are consolidating. I think EOS just needs a little bit more of a consolidation period. Looks just like Cardano, except that ADA is farther into reaccumulation than Siacoin. Last I looked at Cardano, it looked like dog shit. Or am I thinking of something else? Let's look at it together. ADA, BTC. Oh, I remember this one. Yeah, it looks like a giant fucking bull pennant. That's right. ADA looks like it's gonna break out. So 12-hour B bands are squeezed. It looks like it might be bottomed out. Doesn't really look like it wants to push much lower. Did break below the 50 EMA on the 12-hour, but nowhere close on the 1 day. Oh, there's my little trading range I drew a while ago. So I don't see a spring of this yet. So I think what we're going to see here for Cardano, I agree this does look like a reaccumulation. I agree with that sentiment. But what I don't agree is that it's farther along than Siacoin. I think it's just making a different kind of reaccumulation because it has so much aggressive growth in such a short amount of time. It's going to have to shake out a lot of people. in order to enter market phase. This looks more like BCH than it does Siacoin. But here, I would not at all be surprised to see a test of this guy. Volume doesn't say it's consolidated yet. It's kind of doing a creek thing here. It's creaking down. I would fully expect to see some sort of shakeout in here, where it maybe finds support on the 200 EMA. I'm sorry, what is this? The 50 EMA? 50? No, 200 EMA. What do you make of, okay, this is gonna be a good question. What do you make of bullish alt Bitcoin charts if Bitcoin breaks down and historically alts bleed more? So alt Bitcoin charts can look bullish at the same time that alt USD coins bleed. All that means is, thank you, here we go, okay. So for example, if we're looking at ADA BTC, right? And this thing just goes, boom, wants to break out, right? Well, ADA USD can fall, you know, by this much. But if BTC USD falls by this much, then ADA BTC actually goes up, even though both of these are going down. Because these are relative to each other, right? This is ADA versus BTC. And relative to BTC, it's not falling as fast. And so it's showing strength. And that's why it's important to chart against BTC sometimes, so you can see where the capital's flowing. And right now what we're seeing is as Bitcoin is entering this possible pullback where it drops to very low values, I think we're going to see a lot of BTC capital flow into these other alts. And then as BTC, you know, it moves down and it kind of consolidates at lower values, these guys are going to shoot up, and then BTC pushes down, finds a new consolidation period, these guys push up again, and so on and so forth. And you can just think of like this bathtub, right, where water is sloshing from side to side. One side is BTC and one side is altcoins, and it's just sloshing back and forth. Because I think the last thing these guys want to do, these big players, they're not going to want to cash out into USD because then it's taxable and it's easier to trace, and they want to keep it as anonymous as possible. So they're going to keep going back and forth between these altcoins, you know, between these different cryptocurrencies. You try to find out which ones. When looking at a coin that might break up or down, does coin's market cap, such as ADA being number 5 overall, factor into your TA at all? No. I don't look at that at all, and I don't care about that at all. Could you please review OMG, please? Yeah, sure. Nice analogy, my good man. Thank you. ICX, please. Sure. So this guy says, or Samuel Bryant Cobb says, it's just interesting because it tests psychology versus TA. You would think if Bitcoin approaches 7K/4K, there would be panic, but people don't seem to like to hold during panic. So TA and psychology go hand in hand, and that's why I love the Wyckoff stuff so much, is because it is technical analysis for market maker psychology. And if you know what you're looking at, it starts to make a lot more sense in what is seemingly and what are seemingly irrational markets. Wyckoff analysis is like a very powerful tool, and I recommend everyone learning how to implement that into their trading. So here's OMG BTC with its beautiful looking ass, looking bullish as fuck. It's just waiting for that moment to shine. And it wants to shine so hard, but it's scared. That's the only problem. It's fucking scared. But so whereas before, where Bitcoin was, the lagging span was pushing down to the cloud, price was pushing down to the cloud, Tenkan and Kuma were pushing down to the cloud. OMG BTC is the fucking opposite of that. So we see the lagging span trending up. We see the Tenkan and Kumo right here. We see a very thick, nice, juicy, bullish Kumo here. Nowhere close to twisting into a bearish Kumo. And currently it's finding support on the Tenkan there. And yeah, it looks really nice. Looks very bullish on the BTC pair, and it looks fairly consolidated. So if you look at the B bands, for example, the one day we see a squeeze with a bit of a head fake. This looks like a head fake. So we see a squeeze, the market fakes down, and now it's coming back up. It's finding a bit of resistance on the midline, but that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. That's fairly normal for that to happen. And it looks like it's finding resistance on the top of the 12-hour B bands as well, but it is interesting to see how much volume has just kind of like fallen off here. What the hell's up with that? Just no volume there. I mean, look at all this other shit in the past 2 days. There's just been nothing. That's very interesting. I wonder what the hell's going on there. But overall, macro OMG BTC looks hella bullish in my opinion. It's just waiting for its moment to shine. Any other questions about some of the stuff I've been talking about here? Sipping on some kombucha. Oh, someone from the Discord wants to go over Stellar. Sure, do that. Stellar Lumens, XLM, BTC on. No, not on Binance. We want to look at it on like Bittrex or something. Here's the old lines. Let's go ahead and get out of here, bitch. So here's the trading range for Stellar. Aha, I did the BUEC. The last stream I was talking about how this thing, it broke out and people were like, oh yeah, Stellar is going to go crazy. I was like, well, not so fast, because the BUEC is most likely going to retest the top of the trading range. That's exactly what it's doing right now. Finding support on the 12-hour B band midline, but you got rounding B bands here. Probably not a bunch of volatility in its future at the moment. This is interesting too. One-day B bands are rounded as well. Look at this cute little B band squeeze. It's fucking adorable. But overall, it looks like it's still hanging out in its trading range. Finding support here, which is the top of the trading range. If this breaks through, it's most likely going to find support on this EMA here. How's it looking on the sell volume? Looks fairly weak too. It's flat. This is pretty classic BUEC behavior. Nothing notable. It just kind of just slumps down. You know, might see. You know, it kind of does like it has like its own little like mini creek that it likes to do. But you know, doesn't look half bad. Could be a good buy. But it does look like it's in markup. We see higher lows, higher highs. You know, doesn't look half bad in my opinion. Julio Yu asks, are you a chop trader or are you observing the no trade zone until BTC breaks one way or the other? Also, do you short things? What no trade zone are you referring to? Because I'm trading the living shit out of stuff right now because it's easy money. But what no trade zone are you referring to? To answer your question before you answer my question, I chop trade in bear markets, but I also, like if Bitcoin decides to not shit, if Bitcoin was in a consolidation period right now, I would be holding different coins and widening my portfolio. But right now, I'm holding very little coins at the moment. What am I holding? I'm holding a little bit of Siacoin, a little bit of EOS, a little bit of XMR, a little bit of sentiment because I fucked that trade up, so I'm just going to hang on to it. No point in selling at a loss. A little bit of GNT, a little gin and tonics. But other than that, a little bit of Ether. But other than that, I'm not holding a whole lot right now because I think everything's going to go down. So I'm mostly fiat at the moment. Did you check Neo? No, I didn't check Neo yet. Let's check out Neo. Oh yeah, Neo's been going through some sick fucking runs, yo. Okay, this is great. Good thing you brought that up. All right, so I think the last time I talked about Neo, it was here. Yeah. I remember this. Okay, so Neo, Neo, by the way, is looking very bullish. So again, lagging span sticking through the cloud. Tenkin and Kijun trending upward. Big fat cloud here. A big fat bullish cloud. It's making new highs. We're starting to see some volume pick up here. And this is what's most bullish about it. So it's exiting this accumulation phase. So this is so accumulation here. And it's just now beginning markup. That's not to say it won't pull back down and retest the top of this trading range, but it looks ready to fucking go. So higher lows all the way up, higher highs all the way up, and it's all systems go for Neo. It just looks ready to just rip, and looks very solid. I'll be looking, whenever Bitcoin decides to consolidate, I will definitely be looking to buy some Neo and add that to my stash during the next Bitcoin consolidation. ICX hasn't been discussed yet. Sure, let's talk about that. Oh, we talked about this last week. I don't like this chart, if I remember this correctly. Oh wait, no, this isn't the one we talked about. So this looks like a trading range and accumulation, maybe. Whoa, the fuck? Okay. So this looks like a trading range in here. You know, but it does in general look like shit as far as charts go. But it does look like it's trying. It does look like it's trying to break out of its accumulation here. So we see the top of the trading range here. We see volume picking up. The spread of the candles are widening. It's likely that this is going to pull back down. It's probably going to reject the top of this TR, consolidate, and then pop above it. But this looks like accumulation in here, in my opinion. Ether USD. I'm not talking about USD pairs because I think they're irrelevant at the moment. Until Bitcoin decides to consolidate and chill the fuck out, USD pairs are going to be irrelevant. What is ICX? What is that coin? What does that stand for? Korean Ether or Icon? So what? It just serves. I thought Korean Ether was Neo. I thought that's what Neo was. All right, so here's XRP for all you Ripple bros. Oh wait, let's do XRP BTC. Oh, bitches. Whoa. Apparently, I've not looked at an XRP BTC chart in a while. Well, is there a better chart? This looks kind of noisy. Okay, it looks about the same. Oh, Neo is Chinese Ether? Whatever, dude. All you fucking different ethers, who gives a shit? Does noobs need a headline to FOMO in? Yeah, I'm sure there's some truth to that. All right, let's go ahead and look at XR Pizzle. Okay, this looks like a good view to talk about it from. All right, so what do I think about XR Pizzle? I think it's doing this. So you see this? I think that's this. This is going to trickle down economics. Just kidding, it's not trickle down economics. But if we look at the 4-hour chart here, we see it's very anemic with volume. A lot of buying, a lot of buying, a lot of buying, a lot of buying. Not a whole lot of shit going on in here. I wonder if this is... There's just not much volume in here at all, is there? This is interesting. But if you look at these fibs here, they're obeying, pretty nicely. And if you look at the Ichimoku, on a higher time frame, we see it's actually showing significant signs of weakness on the 12-hour. How does it look on the 1 day? 1 day starting to look weak. We saw a weak bearish cross right here. Price is now broken through the Kumo. On the 12-hour, it is full-blown bear. Yeah, it doesn't look very good. Currently, I'm in a short position on Ripple because I think it's going to shit its brains out on national television. I have very low expectations for Ripple at the moment. Bitcoin's getting a little bit of buying going on here. A weak bounce though. How's it looking on our old friend the MACD, the MACDizzle? So we saw a little bit of divergence here. This is for all you chop traders out there. A little bit of divergence on the MACD with these two lows. So volume's starting to pick up on these last two candles, but it's fighting it out right here. This could be a good short opportunity on Bitcoin right here, because it obviously found support on this bear pennant here, and it's trying to decide what the hell it wants to do with this bro right here. You see the little reversal doji going on the 5. And it looks like the bears are currently winning out, so most likely people closing their positions, trying to milk the last little bit out of it. But yeah, I think we're about to see a third test. I also could make an inverted little head and shoulders thing here, but I'm using this chart to short XRP because XRP is following it quite nicely, but just a little bit a little cleaner in my opinion. Did we already do BCH? No, we didn't do BCH. Let's do BCH. Okay, so here's BCH BTizzle. So, okay. I don't think that this is done making lower lows yet. I should probably remove that, huh? Let's get rid of that, get rid of you. Probably move you here. I don't think this is quite done making lower lows. I think it's totally possible that we see a shakeout and a spring, but I am of the belief that this is reaccumulation. Let's get rid of you. And here's why. I think Bitcoin Cash is in reaccumulation on the Bitcoin pair. So, right, we see the selling climax, buying climax, automatic reaction, secondary test, blah, 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 right? And then we see this creek, bro. This is a big ass creek. Oops. Creek. We see the meandering price. All the widespread buy candles are being checked very quickly by sells. And overall, the volume is just kind of meandering down to a slow trickle as the price meanders downward. This typically, it doesn't have to, but this typically leads into a spring. So I would fully expect to see a test and here, anything below, what is this? Anything below 138 I would consider to be in the buy territory, somewhere in here. And let's look at support. So we've got some support down here. Let's look at something like, why do I have 2 Bollinger Bands on here? Let's look at that on like the 3. Okay, this is where it starts getting interesting. So on the, let's look at the 720-minute view. So we see some pretty good support on the 12-hour 200 EMA. And just in general, we see some pretty good support with lots of volume here, propping this up. So, you know, I wouldn't, with Bitcoin pulling, or with Bitcoin potentially going into a sustained bear market, with that being on the table as a market move, you know, I would just be wary in general of all these patterns. But I think anything below here, you'll have to watch for volume to confirm it. But I think this would be a nice buy in here. But again, you'd want to see a nice spring with a strong, you know, something that looks like this, for example, where you're like, okay, volume's here, and all of a sudden, boom, big injection of volume. That would give me confidence that this is a spring. Until then, this is just on my watch list. I'm not doing anything with Bitcoin Cash for the time being. Can you tell me what your exit price is going to be on your XRP short so that I can put a position in front of yours? Yeah, dude. Just give me your social security number and then I'll email it to you. All right. We've been talking for about an hour now. It's a dumb question. But how do you short XRP without holding BTC / only fiat? Because that's how shorting works. You use something else as collateral, like USD, for example, or other coins, and you take out a loan to short the coin, and then you close it and you get paid out in USD. Or if you're shorting the Bitcoin pair, you get paid out in Bitcoin. So someone from my Discord is asking, as your stack size grows, how has that impacted your trading? Smaller percentage of your stack in your positions, or same percentage but trading more macro views, trading liquidity rather than price targets, no change. As my stack size has grown, I've traded less frequently. Just because I like to sleep. So But I have taken that opportunity to really diversify, and during the accumulation times, to diversify my portfolio as best I can, spread my risk, and just watch a slow rise rather than seeking out these get rich quick pump and dump sort of activities, or like going full clip on a long or on a short. Like, I'm not doing that stuff these days. It's just not worth the stress or the lack of sleep, all that. Can you look at Yo-Yo? Sure. Whoa. Man. I don't see a whole lot going on for YYW. Not immediately anyway. It kind of looks like chop. Looks like someone tried to pump and dump it here. Maybe tried to do it again here. But overall, like, I'm not seeing a whole lot coming from this chart. Here we go, peeps. Here's a great learning opportunity. So here's a 15-minute Bollinger Band W bottom. For those of you guys who are new to Bollinger Bands or would like to learn them, here you go. Here's a quick lesson for trading Bollinger Bands. This is a classic W bottom, right? So we see a low outside the Bollinger Bands. We see a lower low inside the Bollinger Bands, here and here. And now we're seeing the first price target coming to fruition, which is the midline of the B bands. And it falls right in line with what the MACD is telling us. It had divergence on this previous low, and it just needed to consolidate a little bit. But overall volume kind of is going down. So it'll be interesting to see how it interacts with this 15-minute midline, but this is a classic reversal pattern. This would have been a great signal to get out of a short or enter into a quick long position right here, right as the next candle closed. So you see, you'd see this close, and then you'd wait for this guy to close as confirmation, and then you'd either exit your short here or possibly take a risky long here with a stop loss right outside the Bollinger Bands. That's how you trade the B-band double bottom. B-band double bottoms are great setups for chop traders. They happen all the time, and vice versa. They happen on double tops as well. How likely do you think the 30-minute W bottom, is it showing up on the 30-minute too? I'm not sold on that 30-minute. That kind of looks like shit to me. If it looked more like this, if the W bottom looked more like this, I would be more inclined to like it, but I don't like this because the low is outside the Bollinger Band. You know, the close is outside the Bollinger Band. And the 15-minute, in my opinion, is stretching it, but you know, you gotta allow some sort of leniency here. I just say it's stretching it because the wick is outside the Bollinger Band, but you know, the closes were all inside, so I think it's okay. But on the 30-minute, the close is outside the Bollinger Band, so I don't put much stock into this reaching the midline here. This just looks like shit setup on the 30-minute. But the 5-minute MACD is starting to diverge for all you chop traders here. We're seeing some divergence here, so I wouldn't be surprised to see this start to top out here as we enter the midline of the 15-minute Bollinger Band, which also, of course, coincides with the 5-minute MACD divergence here. So might be reaching a little local top here for all you chop traders. Anyway, I think that's about all I have to talk about. Maybe I'll do a stream later on tonight, chop trading or something. I've been crushing these quick turnaround trades, and you know, so is everyone else in my community for those guys that like to chop trade. But if you'd like to join my trading community, you can check out bitcoinschmicoin.com. Where you can get all your access and membership information there. And coming soon, we're gonna be adding a wiki to the website, so it'll be a nice addition to the communities to have a reference page for a market wiki and just general strategy wiki and just things like that. So a nice reference. But if you'd like to actually check out the Bitcoin Schmicoin community, you're more than welcome. Go to bitcoinschmicoin.com and join today. Other than that, that's all I got for you guys. You guys have a fantastic evening. Bye.